Welcome to Recruiting.work, a place to connect, communicate, and collaborate on all things recruitment. This session is brought to you by OutMatch. Just as Recruiting.work brings people in the talent community together, OutMatch brings recruitment technologies together, combining assessments, video interviewing, and reference checking software. They're creating a more holistic, more human hiring experience. Learn more at OutMatch.com. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending another roundtable session on Recruiting.work, where peer practitioners all get together and talk about various issues and topics pertinent to our profession and industry. Today, we have another one of our ongoing series that focuses on tools in our industry. Marvin, I'm going to turn it over to Eric here. Marvin Smith and Eric are typically our hosts for this Tool Time series. Marvin is away on vacation. But before I do that, quick housekeeping item. In the chat area, I want to encourage any and all audience members to add any comments or questions or anything like that in the chat area. But before you do that, if you go in that chat area, go down to the bottom, there's a little menu that defaults to say to all panelists. I need you to change that to say to all panelists and attendees. I want to make sure that everybody in the audience is able to communicate with each other and engage with each other as Eric goes through his topic for today. Eric, I'm going to turn over to you in a quick second. I want to do a full disclosure in regards to today's tool time. And Eric, I've known Eric since, 2006, 2005, a long time. We both have a heavy sourcing background in recruiting as a whole. Eric does this series for us ongoing now. Today's topic is SeekOut. Eric does work for SeekOut, but he's a very honest person, so I have no issues or conflict of interest in that. So I just want to do that full disclosure. Eric, hope you don't mind. I just want to put that out to the table where everybody knows where he's coming from. But if there is somebody to talk about tools or sourcing in specifically, if you ever see at a conference, Eric is the guy. I love having those conversations with him. So with that said, Eric, I am going to turn it over to you.
Excellent. You can hear me okay just fine, Sean?
Perfect.
Perfect. Well, hello, everyone. As Sean mentioned, Sean and I have known each other for quite a long time in the recruiting game. I recently joined SeekOut last summer, and but I was a user of their tool before that. And before that, I used HireTool. And before that, I used Intello. I've used many recruiting tools over the years. I just happen to be employed by this company now because I found the tool was very useful. And with the sale of ZapInfo, I was employed by ZapInfo, and they sold the company last summer. I was looking for a new job, and they were generous enough to offer me a job. I'm a huge fan of anything that makes recruiting easier for those of us in the trenches. Trained recruiting teams around the world. I've hired people to monitor and look at the efficiencies of recruiters. And we need better tools in our industry. There is not enough good tools. There's too many candidates, too many managers, too many job orders, and not enough recruiters to do the heavy lifting. So in that effort, we're always looking for new tools and new areas to improve. Sean and I have gone back and forth on many tools over the years and compared notes on who's using what and why they use them, and the price affordability versus the return on investment. SeekOut is a search engine. It is not an applicant tracking system. It is not a campaign management tool. It is a search engine, probably similar to or easily described as like Bing or Google. We do not generate data. What we do is we curate data and direct people to the data that's already out there. So that's a little different than people think. People think that SeekOut has a database. We don't have a database. We generally send people to the source site. So I'm going to share my screen a few times, and I'll show you some of the things that we can do in SeekOut. If you're in the mode for SeekOut, obviously I do sell it. There's many people at our company that can help, but anybody listening today, we're more than happy as part of Sean's program to give a 7-day free trial, Sean. So they can get in touch with me. We'll send them a questionnaire. Sean will send you a link at the end of the meeting, and just fill out the short 10 questions, and you'll get a free 7-day demo to try it out. No heavy sales pitch. If you want to talk to a salesperson, great. Otherwise, you can just try it. The information is valuable and useful to you. Sean, do you have any opening questions about SeekOut, and what do you think people want to hear about?
So we're getting right to the nitty gritty here. Licensing for enterprise or individuals?
We have one price. We don't split hairs between big companies and small companies. We sell a product, an annual price membership only. We don't do monthly or quarterly billing. The cheapest thing I sell is $3,500. is for a single seat, and it gives you access to public data available on LinkedIn only. And then the prices go up from there. We do give discounts like LinkedIn and everybody else does. If you buy more than 10 seats, 20 seats, 30 seats, 50 seats, the pricing goes down. We have many organizations that buy hundreds of seats. The Microsofts, the Lockheed Martins, the Amazons, the Ubers have bought more than 10 seats. So our pricing gets better as you buy more.
Just sort of a personal question. I think it's stating the obvious. It's browser based, PC and Mac.
Yes, exactly. PC and Mac, we have any browser compatible, so you can use it with Edge or Firefox or Chrome, whichever you prefer.
Yeah. So if anybody in the audience members, if you have questions as Eric talks through it, feel free to add them in the chat area, and I'll verbalize them.
Yes. So Sean, you be the average user and ask any question that you think an average user would normally use. The first thing people generally ask is why SeekOut versus just using LinkedIn free or LinkedIn as a tool. I'm going to start sharing my screen, Sean. Let me know if you can see my screen here in just a second. So, here's an example of LinkedIn free. We have about 10 filters that we can play with. The common ones are connections in location, schools, keywords, first and last name, titles. So people can search, but you're limited to the number of how many results you can actually look at per month by their limitation licenses. So at some time in the month, if you view too many resumes based on search results, you will be given a page that says you're done for the month. Come back next month. You've surpassed your limit, and that's a problem for recruiters eventually. So then recruiters will tend to go, and they know that candidates can go in and they can select as your part of your LinkedIn profile. You have the ability to say, make my profile public, and they can turn this on. And by default, this is normally on. And what the courts have said years ago was if a candidate does this and makes their search, their profile visible to Bing or Google, this etc. here, think of SeekOut as etc. Any search engine, in addition to these two, can then use this information with free public access. So you're not logged into LinkedIn, they're sharing it with the public, and then you can curate what you want to share with the public. Do you want your full profile? I turn off my articles, I turn off my groups. It's nobody's business what groups I'm part of, but everything else I keep turned on my public profile. So once that happens, then when someone puts your name in Google, or if they're a little bit more sophisticated, they can do a site search. Recruiters call this an X-ray search, and then you come up in the Google search results. Now the Google search results is great, but many people know you only get 300 results on Google. For recruiters, that's not enough. We want more than 300. And then you also only get about 3 or 4 lines of information. You can see it's hard to tell if Marvin is that much more qualified than Lisa, that she's that much more qualified than Lauren, because there's just not a lot of details to bite on the normal Google research results. So the gentleman who started SeekOut, a guy named Anup Gupta, was a former executive at Microsoft, reported to Bill Gates for many years. Prior to Microsoft, was a Stanford associate professor, worked at Stanford for 10 years. And he had a lot of people he knew how to build search engines because they'd worked at Microsoft. So he built SeekOut. You just go to app.seekout.io, and this is a search in SeekOut. A simple keyword search, forward keywords, no punctuation if necessary or required. And the results gives you the same 4 results that you saw at the top of Google, but we also give you a headshot. We give you the full experience, the full education, and the skills. So these are what our results look like. But just like Google, you click on Lauren's name, and you go directly back to the source like you would expect. Now I'm logged into LinkedIn. If I wasn't logged in, I'd go to the public page saying, please log in if I wanted to, and you're back on LinkedIn. So we're a search engine. We bring you back to the original source. We're not collecting data. We're not scraping data. All we're doing is redirecting and giving you a preferred search experience. Is that what you thought SeekOut was?
Not really. I thought it was a little bit more profile oriented. So it looks like it's project oriented, which I like to see the add page to project.
Yeah. So in this, people go, well, if SeekOut is searching public data available on LinkedIn, is that all you do? And the answer is no. We can actually search LinkedIn data, but we can also search GitHub data. Okay, that's an additional price. We can also search expert data, which is Google Scholar and Microsoft Academics. It's the database where PhDs write papers and go to conferences and present. So we have about 85 million profiles that are publicly available there as well. But the average person really doesn't need experts. Unless you're hiring software engineers, you really don't need GitHub. So for the $3,500 a year price, we sell to the public LinkedIn profiles. But we search all these other places if necessary, if you need that additional in-depth details.
Eric, real quick question.
Yeah.
Once I find somebody, like I put them in a project,
Yep.
if they change their LinkedIn profile, does that reflect in their profile in my SeekOut folder?
Yeah, well, because we're going to their LinkedIn profile, so yes,
Okay.
it may take a month before this updates, just like it does on Google, because Google and us, we get the releases of LinkedIn when they make it public, and they don't make it public real time. So if she changed her job immediately and changed her profile, you'd have to see that on LinkedIn immediately, real time. The rest of us get it a little bit later.
Got it. Okay.
And it can be 6 to 8 weeks. It can be, depending on the cycle, it could be 2 weeks. It just depends on the cycle when the updates come out. But why people tend to look for additional search engines is because although LinkedIn is a fantastic site, you pay more for each level of access. So LinkedIn Recruiter Lite is about $130, and they give you maybe 10 or 15 additional filters rather than LinkedIn Free. And for the LinkedIn Recruiter price or LinkedIn RPS, you get maybe as many as 30 filters on LinkedIn. So filters are how people do the search. And one of the filters that we love to show people is we have a great diversity filter. And there's a lot of talk about diversity and inclusion. So a lot of our federal contractor companies or defense contractors are really wanting to find more diverse pools of candidates. So LinkedIn at this point only provides veterans as a filter on their site. They don't provide any way to select by female or combine black female veterans, for example. You could select these buttons and your search would only show those results. So the diversity filter is one of about 17 filters we offer that they don't offer. The ability to say, I only want candidates who have more than 2 years experience in the role, because maybe they wouldn't be interested in leaving the company unless they've been there at least 2 years. Or maybe I want someone who hasn't been in a job longer than 10 years, because, well, it may say something I don't want it to say. So we can filter by role. We can filter out certain things, such as exclusions. When you do a search, you might have extra candidates that are coming in as recruiters because they use that technology to recruit that, or salespeople that sold it into that company. So with a check of a button, you can exclude those groups as well. So those are some of the left side filters we have. But the search engine itself is what's different. Just like Google beat out Bing and Yahoo as the predominant search engine in the country, because when people put in simple searches, they got the relevant order. The stack that came up in the top 10 was what people wanted to see. So that's what SeekOut spent a lot of time doing, is looking at how people do searches and what comes up in the top 10. What people don't realize is on LinkedIn, when you do a search, where you are, where you're physically doing the search. Sean, I am in Nashville today. You're in California. If you and I ran the same exact search, logged in as the same person, our search results would be different, because I would find candidates that were closer to Nashville, even though I did a nationwide search, and you would find candidates closer to Irvine because you were in that location, that part of the country. So the proximity to where you are, the nearness of the physical machine you're doing the search on, changes in the ranking results. That's pretty arbitrary. If you have recruiters in India, you don't want recruiters in India doing a search in California, finding people that are, not near them. Okay, when you're doing a nationwide search, it's really silly. Your connections, who you're connected to, totally personalizes and changes your ranking order, which for candidates, that's not always great, because if you're not connected to the right people, it's skewing your results and finding your different order of candidates. So we do it based on keyword matching. When someone puts in a word, we're looking for matching keywords. Now, LinkedIn a long time ago trained us to not put wildcards in. Wildcards are these characters you can put in at the end that gives different variations. So I'll give a simple example here. We have 477 candidates on this particular search. I have 4 words: PE, civil engineer, hydro. No quotes, no punctuation. But if I just add a wildcard, an asterisk on the end of hydro, and hit enter, we suddenly go to a great deal more candidates. I'm gonna expand my candidates to over 8,000 candidates with a single character. And because hydro has in engineering many words that begin with the word hydro that are coming up that help me find candidates who have that particular engineering experience. And that will really help my searching. So hydrology would be one of those words that came up in the stack. Okay, so having a wildcard can really help expand the search without having to type in lots of variants on the ends of words. Okay, why LinkedIn hasn't added that isn't really sure. We have a lot of people that also can put in searches that are related to single individual wildcard placement. So here's an example of I'm looking for someone with a particular area code and a number. So these are phone numbers that are in LinkedIn where we can do. The single place wildcard is the question mark. So you can find phone numbers all over the place where people have listed in their profile what their phone numbers are. And that can help recruiters, once again, actually get on the phone and contact people. Now, we do have get phone number and get email embedded in our system.
Hey,
so when people hit get it phone number and email, they can get additional phone numbers for the past 15 years that are public.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah.
I just want to let you finish with the wildcards. Before we jump onto the contact information, I got some questions coming through. So let me pause you, and then I want to just sort of get some of these questions to make sure I get them through as we go.
Excellent.
So number of candidates viewed on LinkedIn via SeekOut does not count against the allowed numbers on candidates viewed directly on LinkedIn. I can repeat that if you want. It's complicated.
That's correct. It's as if you typed it into Google directly. It's not part of the SeekOut because you're not using the LinkedIn search function, and that's how they're counting. They're looking at how many times you click a search function. So you're correct. You can have a free account. You can click thousands of candidates on SeekOut, and it will not count against your search results on LinkedIn.
All right. And the 3,500 price tag, that's month or year?
That's an annual price. Yes, that'd be a crazy monthly price. That's an annual price.
Yeah. All right. And here's a question. What if I pay $11,000 a year for a LinkedIn recruiter license with access to all profiles? What would be the benefit of using SeekOut?
You have access to all the public profiles, which is over 80% of the profiles on LinkedIn are publicly available. So there are a few people, 15% or so, that do not have their listed public. They're cybersecurity professionals. They're people who've been harassed by recruiters who've turned off their public profile. So I can't give you access to those, but you can have access to those from your free account. Okay, so you don't need LinkedIn Recruiter to do majority of the searches I'm showing you, which is access to the vast majority. And we have many filters that are not available on LinkedIn. So many customers find that they can do without their LinkedIn Recruiter account and just use their free LinkedIn account and buy SeekOut instead.
All right. Then are you saying the SeekOut offers the max number of filters available on LinkedIn, regardless of seats or permissions?
Yes, no. I'm saying that we have almost all the SeekOut filters. We sell all our filters to everyone for that price. And all the filters that we have are actually greater than the number of filters on LinkedIn. They have a couple filters we don't have. Unfortunately, we don't have, but they're just not publicly available. For example, LinkedIn has the ability to do a zip code radius search. The zip code is not something we can search on because that's not publicly available. They don't share that on the public profile. So we can search by location, no problem. Metro areas. We can search by state. We can search by country. I just can't search by 10 miles of a particular zip code. So LinkedIn wins that battle because they can search by zip code. They don't make that publicly available. There's a couple others that they have that we don't care about either.
Yeah. Then a question for myself, the exclusion piece that you had there.
Yes, at the bottom.
Can I freeform text exclusion? Like, let's say I didn't want to see anybody who works at Adobe. Could I exclude Adobe?
Yes, absolutely. In our company filter, you can include or exclude any company with a click of a button here in a set of companies. The not Boolean operator works also in the keyword section. So any field you want to not out, you can put a not in front of it or a minus sign and exclude anything anywhere.
Even in the keywords?
Yeah, all over the keywords. Every one of these filters on the left-hand side, you can not out. You can not out particular titles, companies. You can not out just about anything that you need. We don't not out diversity, but that's for obvious reasons.
Got it. Okay, I think I got the questions covered so far. You're getting on
Excellent.
to the email piece of it.
Yeah. So the email and phone number capability is part of the membership. So you get 500 pieces of contact information per month for that annual fee. Now that's 25 a day for an average recruiter, which is generally a pretty good amount. If you need more, you can buy more. For $135, you can up that to $1,000 a month. But that means that you can click email and get phone numbers for people, and this isn't getting it from their LinkedIn profile. Okay, LinkedIn knows the email address, but they're not going to give it to us or anybody else. When you hit get email and get phone number, we subscribe to over 7 different services around the world to provide the most up-to-date collected information. One of those is people.com, PIPL.com, a well-established Boise, US company. They have over 3 billion profiles, identities of people in the United States they've been collecting for over 15 years. They're one of our providers, and we simply connect to them via API, and when you collect this, they send us their information directly. So it's embedded in here. So we don't collect and capture email addresses and phone numbers. All we do is we bring it in curated from multiple providers so that you don't have to subscribe to all those providers, look multiple places. We do all that behind the scenes for you.
Hey,
And when
Eric.
you click on this, you could get one, you could get multiple phone numbers. So if I go in, let's go to a search I've ran recently here. So I ran a search for Cindy. Notice here that it's a Excel spreadsheets, pivot tables with an or statement, a couple wildcards, an and statement here saying I'm also looking for these other attributes. And if I wanted to, I can even add a not. I don't want a CPA. I don't want someone whose current title is director. So I can not out certain things like Sean was talking about there. Okay, so she comes up. These are the matches. But now as I scroll down, when I get down to Kimberly, I've already clicked the get phone number and get email button. So I get 3 phone numbers and 3 emails for Kimberly. Okay, one's a Gmail, one's a Hotmail, one's an MSN. Now, anybody who's been around recruiting for a while can say MSN's pretty darn old. Okay, Hotmail's pretty darn old. And when we hover over to Hotmail, we can see that it was first discovered in 2006 and last discovered in 2018. So she's used it for over 12 years. But when I hover over Gmail, it's a little more recent, since August 2018. So I can make that my priority mail if I want to by just clicking it. I can send her an email message directly from here, or I can say, highlight that in green. If I'm going to do any kind of email campaign, use that as the primary email.
Hey,
So
Eric.
yes.
Eric, where's that email coming from? Is it going into my Gmail or Outlook, or what's kicking it
So
off?
yes, you actually can assign this. So when you connect this to your Gmail account or your Outlook account, it'll show as if it's sent directly out of your sent box. And when she replies back, the reply comes back directly into your inbox. So you can connect this. So we generate the mail from our side, we pass it to your Outlook or Gmail, and so that it looks like it's coming directly from you. No difficulty with junk mail or spam filters or anything like that.
And if I
It's
do
not
that,
coming from us. It's coming from you.
if we were to email Kimberly using that process, would it show right here that an email was sent to her?
It would. It would show that she's in a campaign because we have actually a campaign sequence management as well. So you can not only send one mail message. If I want to send a single message, I can send that. Send a single message. In this case, here's a message I've created. That you want the red pill or the blue pill, and then and you can click it. Okay, it's your decision. You decide. So this message would be passed on and be sent out directly to her. So you can have multiple templates in here, and it would open up the mail in your Outlook, your default mail, and then you would hit send as you expect. Okay, if I want to do a sequence mail, I could put a sequence, 3 or 4 emails in a row, say send the first one, no response, send the second one, third response, and then if she does reply onto any of those, the sequence is stopped. So we have campaign management, basic campaign management built in, so you can do sequence mail as well.
And is it one by one, or can you do like a batch
It's
mail?
bulk. It's exactly what you'd expect. So you can take everybody in a project, select them all. Same thing with the email collection and phone numbers. If I have 10 people or 100 people in a project, with one click, I can get 100 email addresses, 100 phone numbers. So I don't have to go and do each one individually. It's nice if I want to cherry pick as I'm going down my list, since there is a finite number of phone numbers and emails per month. Like I said, combined is 500 a month is what part of your subscription. You could use it on the first day and have no other, or you can ration it throughout the week. And 25 a day will get you pretty much a good ration for the month. And then just use them up at the end of the month because there are no rollover functions. If you don't use your 500, it starts over at the beginning of the next month and you've lost those 500. So we tell people use them or lose them.
But your 500 gets saved, though, right? If you do use them, they get saved?
Yes, and if you're connected to a group of people, you get to see all the contact for everybody in your business unit. So if you pool your contacts, if you have a 500 and I have 500, at the end of January, we both used our 500, we can see 1,000 people for the rest of the year. In February, we both used 500. Now we have 2,000 combined. We now can see 2,000. So if we find her in October, all that information that we found in January and February, you found or I found, is still in the database. It stays sticky for the entire year. And if you have 10 people doing 500, that's 5,000 contact pieces of data you have every year, every month as you're building it.
But then continue that those two would then still roll over year if you use
it. Does.
Okay, all right.
Once collected, always yours. Correct.
Do you have a little place that shows unused?
Yeah, right up here by your name, where your login account, you click on that, and it says what your allotment is. So right now I have 145 remaining contact information credits available.
Got it. Okay, I got a couple.
You kind of have a running total right there. And if you're pooling them and you have your group, just like LinkedIn, it says the group has 5,000 for the month, and who's used how much. It'll show up there. So the contact credits are really great to be able to share amongst your team as you're building searches. Let me go back and share a few more searches that are kind of cool that people may find interesting. So in LinkedIn, in our capability at this point, we have about 132 million LinkedIn profiles in the United States. That's a big number. And when you start using these filters, the filters are saying must have. So as you put in titles or keywords or companies, you're restricting your pool. Well, what's interesting is people might want to not restrict the number, but actually look at the entire pool and build some reports or information about it. So we have the ability to do must-have searches, not nice-to-have searches. So look at this search I built here. I'm looking for someone in the pool of 132 million that have a major, either physics, math, computer science, or engineering, and either went to Harvard, Stanford, or Yale. So my search results, although it's the same 132 million, the sort order is completely different now. Because I'm saying, if you have one of these majors and went to one of these schools, then the sort, show me those people on top. Where the previous tab, I didn't have. I just said pick them. There's no keywords in here at all. So it just came up random order. And notice how nothing is highlighted or emphasized here. Okay, they're just US people. But as soon as I then say it'd be nice to have if these people had these schools, the ranking order changes. So the stack is still the 132 million. But now I see people who went to Stanford and studied physics. Because I said in my stack, I really want to look for the word physics, but look for the word in the major category and make it 5 times more important than any of these other majors. So I can give my preferences, or my emphasis is on major physics. I can do the same thing. I can say one of these schools, but let's emphasize Yale, for example, just to show the difference. I can hit a caret and say Yale is 5 times more important. I'm just picking a multiplier. I can make it 2 times. I can make it 20 times. I'm just saying 5. Now watch my results here. Vincent is on top. Jeremy is number 2. As soon as I hit enter, my search results change, and now Jeremy comes to the top because, lo and behold, Jeremy went to Harvard and Yale and studied physics. And I emphasize Yale and physics, so now Jeremy comes to the top. Same thing with the next candidate. Same thing with the next candidate. So rather than filtering people out, which recruiters do all the time, what you want to do is you want to rise the cream to the top. You want to change the sort order. So when you're doing searches, then you can then say, I just want the female candidates that went to those schools with those majors. I then want the black female candidates combined. So now everybody that comes up generally have those characteristics that we would expect with those filters on. Okay? So those last 2 filters were must-haves, but the fact is I built everything else as a nice-to-have. And you can't do that on LinkedIn. You can't do that on other searches. Only the AI tools that exist give the ability to do must-haves and nice-to-haves and rank the order appropriately. Once you find people that are in the right sort order, then sure, you can add them to your groups and projects, but you might want to find more people like them. So we give you this find similar or cloning button. If Jeremy is something I like, I can then say build another search, a derivative search based on that, And it looks at where he is, it looks at all his attributes, and brings up candidates that are similar to him. It's the opposite of diversity, okay? These are more people like him that went to those schools and have those skills that we would expect. Now, maybe I want him in a different location, so I can kill out Massachusetts, and I can put in anywhere in the United States I want. I can say I need someone in the Dallas location because we have an office there, so I can choose Dallas. Maybe the attributes, rather than what he exactly is, I need someone a little bit less experience. I need someone 5 to 10 years because that's what my compensation can support. Okay, maybe I do want someone of diversity, and if I wanted, I could say I only need a female. I'm not going to in this case. And when I apply those filters, I find someone who's almost his clone, but this person is a little more affordable because they've less experience, and they live in Dallas. So these examples. Oh, I didn't plug in Dallas. Sorry, I forgot to hit the app. I need to hit the apply button. There we go. Now the people will come up in Dallas. So a lot of recruiters like AI recruiting, but they want the sophistication of being able to boost and emphasize words in Boolean, and then use AI to do more simple searches. So we provide you both capabilities. Those recruiters who love Boolean and want to be able to put ands, ors, nots, nears, and words around each other, we can help you do those advanced searches. For those who don't really want to do that, just put in the candidate or the incumbent that's leaving the company, hit the clone feature, and find someone just like him or her, but in a different location if necessary. So we have both complex and simple that you can access pretty easily.
Hey, Eric.
I'll pause there, catch my breath, ask any questions.
Yeah. All the changes that you were making to the search, when you save your search, right? Those are, I'm assuming, stay updated with that. So
yeah, correct. They're implied, so I can always go back to the folder and get more candidates with those modifications. Correct.
Can you associate like multiple saved searches to a project? Like, let's say software engineers in Dallas, you have 3 different search strings that you use. Could you associate all those saved search strings to that one project?
Yes. When I go into an individual project, I'll show a project here. When I go into a project, here's my project for bookkeepers. All my searches for these projects can be listed right here. I can list them all here, so I can see all the searches listed as I'm building them. Or if I don't want, I can exclude them out. I can clear them out, but that's where they would show in my projects.
And can you can you share a saved search with another team member?
Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. First of all, you can share your projects by hitting this share button up here. So once you're in a project, you can share the button, and you can share with blind mode on. So everybody's talking about the importance of unconscious bias. So if you are sharing with someone who maybe might have certain bias, you can click on the button here, and they don't see the name, they don't see the photograph. We can eliminate the schools. So you can put your company logo in there. You can put whatever, scales of justice if you want, whatever you think is appropriate. But that way, if you share this folder, they don't see those things. You can share your folder with anybody. It doesn't have to be a SeekOut user. It can be anybody on the planet that you give that link to, and they would just see what's in the folder. Okay?
Like a hiring
now, that's an advantage. You can also, if you are really wanting not to share your folder, you can export this information. Once again, it's your data, and it's you've collected in a folder. You can export this, and when you hit the export button here, we have over 70 different formats you can have that will be useful to you. The format I find most useful is just an Excel spreadsheet. So our Excel spreadsheet takes those 10 people that are in that folder and gives you about 35 columns. For anybody who used to use Zap Info, this is very Zap Info-y. Okay, to be able to take a candidate project and export it to a profile. But we also not only get the keeper list, but people want to know the pool this came from. So you can export basically the greater pool. So this is the aggregate data where those candidates were found. We searched at 47,000 or 470,000 candidates, and in these cities, and we then looked at the diversity in those same sets, and the experience, and the degree. So all these these tabs are just one click away. When you have a search that you've built, any search that you've built, it doesn't matter. In this case, I'm looking for this search, 13,000 people. Right next to the search you just built where you have the candidates listed, you have this People Insight button. The People Insight button is the graphic. We were talking about Tableau earlier. This is the graphic representation of the pools in here. The 17 different things that you'd be looking for are all graphically represented here. And if you need more than the top 10, they each have a top 25 button here, so you can get even more detailed. So you can see where the cities they are living in, what companies they're from, this insight button can be run on every search. And all these buttons are live, so if you want to modify your search, if you want to go down here and say, I really want a deeper look at these females, the females in this pool are 2.7 thousand. As soon as I click this, notice this button over here, female is not checked at this point, but if I click the icon here, it checks the female button, and now all my reports are related to the females that are in this set. So they're dynamic and always up to date, depending on if you click the left side or the charts on the right. So people who are having to report on, did the recruiters do a diverse search in a huge pool, now they have all the data and can just hit with one export button, spit out that Excel spreadsheet with all those tabs to be able to show we did our due diligence looking as far and wide as we could, and that's how we found our keeper pile. So,
Eric, how are you determining gender and ethnicity?
Great question. Fantastic question. So when people are bringing up a search and they see that these categorizations are being calculated real time, okay, the numbers are right here. So when you click on that, you know how many females are in the pool. We're simply not looking at the data in the profile. We're looking at her name. We're looking at the organizations and societies they may have been on, sororities, fraternities, private schools, all women's schools. We're looking at pronouns in the recommendations, where people are making recommendations and they might use her or she. So we have a number of factors. It's kind of our secret sauce. We don't tell everybody all our factors, but what we're not doing, to clarify, is not any kind of facial recognition. We're not looking for bearded men or distance between the eyes or attractiveness like that. You know, we're only looking for words on a page, and just like a recruiter does, we're making our best predictor based on numeric value. Is this probably male or female? And then we're putting it in one of those two piles. Same thing goes for all these ethnicity groups. We're looking for a set of keywords or schools or surnames or indicators that it would probably be one, and we're able to categorize. When in doubt, we don't categorize. It just stays in the general pool. But we're very accurate, and we have very good teams that are dividing this. So a dark-skinned Indian man would not be misclassified from Asian into the black category. And so we've done a lot of work in making sure that Indian nationals from, you know, India and the Middle East are not miscategorized into those sets.
Got it.
As well as females with male-sounding names.
Got a quick couple questions from the audience. Can you create folders or projects in SeekOut with profiles if you're using LinkedIn free?
Absolutely, you can. I want to show you that. So this is our SeekOut project. Okay, SeekOut is that $3,500 tool, but you can go and download a free Chrome extension called SeekOut. That free Chrome extension is called SeekOut Sourcing Assistant. It is our free tool. It gives you 10 free contacts per month. And so if I'm in, this is our CEO, Anupta, if I'm on LinkedIn and did a search on LinkedIn Recruiter or LinkedIn Free, and I want to add someone to a project, this is the toolbar we're talking about here. You click here, and you have this SeekOut. And notice here you can add to project. So the project capability and the sharing capability of this project, we give away for free. You can't do any searches, but it's just free because you're using the search mechanism in LinkedIn. So I can add Anoop to a project. One of the projects I had was test. He's now in the project. And if I want to, I can click get phone number or get email 10 times a month for free. When those 10 times are up, let's say you want to buy some more, you can go into your account here. Just go to all your projects. Now I'm logged into my free LinkedIn account. Okay, and when I'm logged in, do the button here. Bridges, any bridges? There's a bridge, there's a bridge. Okay, I haven't logged in a while, so it logged me out. There we go, and I'm in. Remember me? There I'm in. Okay, so in this case, I'm in. I choose a black background on this. You can choose a light background as well if you like light mode instead. So there's my light mode if you prefer that. Okay, and when you're in here, notice how you don't have the buttons on the left-hand side for search that we had. We just have the project feature, and I can have all these projects in here, and I can also buy more credits. So if I do have this, I can log in here and say, I ran out for $40 for 100, you can buy more credits. So we use this as a way, if only people want to use get phone number and get email button only, our free Chrome extensions give you 10, and then you can recharge it if you want just phone numbers and email. It's really a great service. We're hoping people like this and then come and start asking more questions about our actual product which gives you all the rest of the tools in the bucket, not just the get phone number and get email button. So great question. Thank you for asking about our Chrome extension. But they're two different products, very different products.
The second question, I think you answered it already. That free version, that also is a 10-person use it or lose it type deal, right?
Yeah. You get 10 a month, use them, and then they don't add up. So month after month, 5 months into it, you still only have 10. We do give you 10 additional free for everybody you recommend. So if you're using the Chrome extension and you recommend 3 other people in your office, every time they sign up, you get another 10. So we try to say thank you.
Additional 10 every month or just that one time?
For that one time.
Okay.
For each new user you sign up, you get 10.
Got it.
Every month would be generous. Thank you. That's a good suggestion. I'll ask you, see if we can do that.
All right. That's all the questions I got from the audience.
All right. So when we're in here and we're running these searches, it's kind of fun to show people kind of some of the advanced things that we can do with some of the searches. I showed you how we can manipulate. One of the searches I love to do is a GitHub search, because we can search LinkedIn profiles, but we can also go into GitHub. And for those who have technical needs, we might want to look at people in a particular company in GitHub, or those who have particular language skills. We still do experience, and we still have the gender and the diversity capabilities inside GitHub. But over 22 million people on GitHub do not have LinkedIn profiles whatsoever. So there's no cross-mixing here. This particular first candidate does. And if they have both profiles, we put their LinkedIn information on top of the results and their other information regarding GitHub to the right and below. You still have the ability to get phone numbers and email addresses. So we kind of merge the two in the result stack. And then when you click on her name, you can either go to GitHub directly, or you can click on and you can go into her LinkedIn profile by clicking this link. So either direction if you want to see either one, but we are generally bringing you back to either site. So people use GitHub. We have about a third of our customers that are logged into GitHub and doing searches regularly. The rest just use the public data on here. I do have a few searches that I want to show you here. I'm going to cancel a few of these out. I showed you the area code. Here's one that people love. The wildcard on the end of a quota. For example, you can search just in the summary of someone's profile. So you're not searching the entire stack. You're just searching the summary of someone's LinkedIn profile. I'm looking for the word quota, and I'm looking for a number that begins with a number 1, a 3-digit number beginning with 1. So when I click into Travis's profile, I go just to the summary, which is this used to be called summary, and they now call it about. And you can see that we're finding people who met quota over 100%. Okay, that search can't be run in LinkedIn because they don't have wildcards, and you can't search just this area. So it can be a tremendous benefit. Now, that number wasn't a huge number, only 6,000. But if I go here and I search both the summary and I search the position description, and I expand it not just 100%, 200, and 300%, when I then go into somebody else's profile and I bring up their information, it's going to be searching not only his information here for anything over 100 to 200%, but also the position descriptions down here. So under each position, we're just searching this. So we're not going to, in error, get anybody's company name, their headline. We're not going to be getting a title that might have the word quota in it. We're only going to be certain sections, which is the doer words that talk about what they've accomplished and done in a particular section. So once again, the relevancy come up incredibly high. People who are highly relevant, that are what we're looking for, because we're not searching the entire profile for irrelevant information in the wrong places. Make sense, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to town on some of the I call them search trends, right? The granularity of it. Can you kind of highlight? I think you did already a little bit, but really around the sharing of the searches, because it seems like on the team you have 1 or 2 people who are really good and really get into writing some very detailed searches.
Yep.
Not so much for the rest of the team. Can they benefit from somebody who just knocks out almost like a recipe cookbook?
Absolutely. Yes, we built that in. Thank you. So we call those power filters. And a power filter can be something. I'm going to clear this search. So we're going to clear it. That's how you clear your searches. That's the entire database. Okay. And these are basically components that either we built for you or you built yourself with and you have the ability. So for example, let's say one of your recruiters took and you're looking for SaaS salespeople. You have your top 50 competitors in a list. You basically built the list once, and then you looked for all the sales words that you'd want, account executives, account manager, and so forth. With a click of a button now, I have all that search built, and I'm searching at 14,000 of exactly my competitors' AEs and salespeople all over the country. And I can apply other filters. So you don't have to build it each time. It's a building block you can use. Same thing if you want to then say, I only want them on the West Coast. Well, if you knew those were the West Coast companies in the time zone, or maybe the East Coast, those are all the companies in the East, or the states in the East Coast. With a click of a button, you can apply that building block. We've built over 130 different building blocks for you already. So things like Fortune 500 companies, things like early stage startups, certain things like security clearance when you're looking for people with white hat or black hat or full scope poly. I have my highlighter on here, so that's why we're coming up pink here, because I was going to show a top secret clearance. So that's why we got a little bit of pink here. But generally speaking, education, people who are authorized to work in the United States, people who went to certain universities, top 200 universities, people who went to diverse universities and schools. Already built, ready to use. With a click of a button, you can apply these filters. And even job titles. Sometimes you don't know what a software engineer front-end developer does. You click this button, we've added all the different variations for front-end software engineer, so it brings you all the words in one click where you guys don't have to build them. But if you want to build your own, we're more than happy to do that. We can come in here. Here's an example of a search I built where we're just looking for competitive software engineers from Apple, Amazon, Microsoft in the past 5 years. So if that's what your target audience is, going after those people, you can click it with a button and apply that one filter and just go after people who are software engineers in the past 5 years working for those 5 big companies. So those built-in features, if you have one recruiter who's a Boolean black belt, can build a bunch, then your whole team can benefit them from the whole year, and then they can add their other filters on top of those building blocks.
All right, so here's a
wish
wish list question for you.
Yes.
Can I look in? Do you sync with any ATSs so I can see if they are or not in my ATS currently?
Great question. We push things to the ATSs. So if I'm in here in my bookkeeper profile, as I was doing before, we can push all these information into your ATSs. But for a two-way integration, to be able to see if they're already in there, that would require a little bit more indexing. So we do charge a service for that. We charge an annual fee. I'm not going to give the price over the phone over this webinar, but we do charge an annual fee where we would index your current entire database, just like we index Google, just like we index LinkedIn. We will index your database so that we'll know when we add things or if things are already there. So yes, we do that. It's an additional annual fee, and it's over $10,000 to be able to do that.
Yeah. And is there a cap on exports into an ATS?
Nope. You can export as many, any search you find, you can export as many as you need to. We just push them into the exports. When you push to a spreadsheet, that spreadsheet, we do have a cap of 5,000 per month per user into a spreadsheet, but not exports the other way.
Yeah, and then if let's use Workday as an example. If you're exporting a Workday, are you creating an application record associated to a rec, or how are you pushing it into, say, Workday?
Those variations can be determined by the configuration on yours. So a lot of people will configure it themselves. We can go into our integration section as a user, and then you actually configure your key to be how you want to. So there's some variations when you integrate it. Do you want it, what type of record do you want, or how you want to integrate it? So they're pre-existing recipes, and if it's something custom, then we can make those modifications. But most people, for example, in these standard ones, have a standard configuration how they prefer it. So pretty simple to do, and they can do it themselves real time. Within the first few hours, they configure it.
Got it. And real quick, what was the price quote on that? Or not quote, but just general?
Generally, it's an annual fee. It's over 10,000, closer to 20,000 a year per. It depends a lot on the size of your database. If you have 10 million records in your database versus 100,000, the prices vary based on the size.
Yeah, and obviously per account, right? Per enterprise account.
Yeah, it's per account, and it's an annual reoccurring bill because we have to keep the index up and running as you keep adding new things in and refresh it regularly.
Got it. Question from the audience: Index is the same as export? I'll let you answer that one.
Index is the same as export.
It's not.
No. Export is we're taking stuff out of our stuff and pushing it into yours. Index is simply we're looking for the information available on, these are our indexes up here. We have a public index, we have a GitHub index, so we're looking at different sources of data.
Well, I think she's referring to indexing back into an ATS. It's a long, deep conversation, but it's basically just for matching records. So,
Yes.
Catherine, if you need to follow up on that, I'd be happy to, because we could go down rabbit hole on that one. Let's
Yep.
move on to the next question. What does the integration offer with the ATS exporting profiles? I think we covered that.
It depends on how you configure it, but generally it's far more than you'd get with LinkedIn. LinkedIn, their integration, so most systems are, but it's on a business card, name, title, company. Sometimes they don't even integrate. We integrate as much as you possibly can. So entire history here. We integrate all the schools. We integrate all the skills. So if you have a place that this is available in your ATS to collect this, we will map it into those individual places. But each ATS is a little bit different in how they have it, so we can't say they're identical, but yes, we put as much as you possibly can into your ATS so you don't have to do all the typing yourself.
Yeah, anybody doing that, just personal advisory, move slow, because you can create a hot mess if you move too fast as far as exporting, in my experience.
Yes, you can. No doubt about it.
Hey, Eric, we're coming on to the hour. So you've shown how to find, how to tag, how to save searches. Yep. Now that let's move to another level. This is sort of for me, because I'm all about, okay, once I found them, sorry for my dog, she's running the background. How do I act on it? So getting back to that email piece of it, or you mentioned the campaign.
So let me show you that. Our messaging, so you put things into projects, and then from projects, you can then set up email campaigns. So this last button down here is our email campaign tool. First thing you can do is you associate your email or any emails you want with this account. And then you can even send on behalf of someone else. So if I'm working with you, Sean, and I want them to go out of your sent box so it looks like you sent them because I'm recruiting for you, I can associate with on behalf of. So I send you a link, you say Eric has permission to send on behalf of me, and then I send mail out to our joint candidates, and when they reply, they come back in directly into you. I can then build my campaigns. So in this case, I have a very simple campaign. I have a 3-tier campaign. On day 1, they get this message. On day 2, if they don't reply, they get this message. On day 3, my final message states as follows. So at any point, if they reply, they come back into your message. So this is just a standard email campaign. You build it the way you want. We do give a recommendation on good titles and good subject lines that work. So we give kind of a scoring here for good subject lines. We advise not to use words that are going to get into spam filter really quickly. But you build here, you can add your logo, you can add your links, and then we use these as templates. But all the mail comes out of your inbox as if you sent it, because we're sending it, we're basically building and then passing it to your sent folder, and it goes out your outbox. And when candidates reply, they come in your inbox, and we're just sniffing that and making sure that if anybody replies, we then shut this off so they don't get additional messages.
Are you able to track somebody who opens the email but does not reply?
We are, yes. Right here, when we actually are clicking here, we're actually measuring who opens it, who replies, and which ones do bounce if they do bounce. So we do have a column here that how many are open.
Does that roll back onto their profile so I can see that?
No, it does not. It just simply says that they're in a campaign and they're in a project. So on the profile, you can see that you are in a campaign that I manage and that you're in a project that I manage, but not the details of where you are, what sequence you're in, or what level of email messages, and you can't read the email messages. So your coworkers can see that he's in play with Eric, but not any more detail than that. So it's really designed to be a lightweight system. That's why we export people into your applicant tracking systems, where then everybody has a system of record and everybody can see the more details. So most big companies export and then manage the email campaigns out of their other systems. But this is lightweight for those who don't have those systems.
So I really love the ability to push into an ATS, but I got a question for you. I don't know if this is the right platform to ask it, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
Yeah.
You know how you might get yourself into trouble if let's say I reach out to somebody who's director level, very busy. Hey, can you go apply to our ATS? Here's the rec number. And then you kind of lost them. Maybe they go apply after they got the offer and part of that.
Okay.
By moving somebody from here into the ATS, that can just then roll into their application record. And is there any compliance issues with that?
I'm not a compliance guy, but generally speaking, large corporations like keeping applicants in ATSs and marketing candidates that are sourced in CRM tools. So they might put them in an Avature, or in your case, you did a Salesforce application once upon a time. So the ATS is for people who apply and are active candidates in active pools for federal regulations. That's an important thing. And then there's a different place for email marketing campaigns. We can push to either. It really depends on how you're using your systems.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's deeper conversation. Have to involve legal. The less you involve legal, the easier it is from a recruiter perspective.
And same thing in EMEA. We do a lot of work in Europe. We're getting email addresses and phone numbers. And once again, there's lots of rules in Europe on who can save that information and for how long. You can make an outbound request to someone and say, I have your information. Would you like to be added to our database? And if they don't respond or they say, hell no, you have to not put it in your database or you'll get fined. And there's lots of GDPR regulations with big numbers associated. So we don't get into that. We basically facilitate the finding process. We're a search engine. Yeah. We find data and we send it to you. What you do with it and what regulations and how you save it is really your business.
Got it. I just thought I'd ask. It's tricky conversation. Yeah. Any final? I know I may have sidetracked you there a few times. I think we've covered all the questions in the audience.
If we still have a few people on the line, thank you for your interest and staying with us. SeekOut is a different way of looking at the data available in LinkedIn and GitHub and to refine searches. People for a long time have been limited by how we search those tools by the companies who built those tools. And now better search engines, not only SeekOut, but there's a handful out there, are giving us ways to mine that data in ways that are very useful. But before COVID, when we were doing local searches and people who had to commute to work, we could make a bad search and still get through it through brute force. But now a lot of us are doing regional searches or statewide or searches that are full United States. And so a bad search doesn't work anymore. You need to build a search so that the cream rises to the top and the best candidates can be found quickly. And if you run a search with 1,000 people, the first 10 you look at could be bullseyes if you build the search the proper way with the proper tools. And LinkedIn just doesn't have those features yet.
Got it. All right. Well, hey, thank you, Eric. I think that was a very good, robust version of using the tool. It's a very useful tool, in my opinion, both for full-time sourcers and recruiters. I'm going to end it there. Don't want to go past the hour. So thank you again very much. And just let everybody know, we recorded this session. We'll post it. I'll send that link out to everybody. Eric, you want to give out your contact details?
Yeah, just on eric@seekout.io. If you have any questions, just send me that. Anybody who wants to go ahead and get a 7-day free trial, please contact me directly, or Sean will send out the link. We'll have you fill out a 10-point questionnaire, and we'll send you a 7-day free trial. Let you get a test drive and see if you enjoy it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks, Eric.
Talk to you next month. Take care, everyone.
Bye.